Hello and welcome to Context. So, I just recorded the other day live on Insight Timer a talk about channeling work, and this is a very spiritual thing, and that should be, depending on what order I upload these new episodes in, that should be the sixth episode, and then this will be the seventh episode of this podcast. And if you're just tuning in for the first time, if this is your first time hearing my voice, my name is Eliyaju, and I'm a Reiki master, practitioner, intuitive guidance coach. I'm also an undergraduate student finishing my last 5-6 weeks of my degree in BFA musical theater. What else? I do a lot of little jobs. I co-run a social media for a dance studio in Boston. What else do I do? Anyway, doesn't really matter, but just to give you some context, if you're just joining in, I'm a multifaceted human being, an artist, a teacher, creator, and just I like to chat. So that's what we're doing. We're chatting today, and I wanted to talk about synchronicities in my life. And this podcast episode really is honestly going to be for my Insight Timer people. Like, if you're a spiritual person, this is for you too. If you're not a spiritual person, you can listen. I don't know how much of what I'm gonna say will make sense to you, but that's okay. I'm not gonna use language that you won't understand, but you might not understand the semantics. Is that the right word? Semantics of how I'm using these words. But anyway, on Insight Timer, I recorded this live talking about channeling work, and that's what you just heard in this last episode. It was a shorter episode. I'm trying to decide whether or not I want to do 30-minute, 45-minute, 1 hour episodes, 25-minute episodes here on this podcast. And honestly, I think it's just going to be a matter of what episode it is and what I have to share that day, because I can talk for hours and hours on end, but I also know that some people prefer more shorter podcast episodes. So if you want to listen to an hour worth of episodes, you would listen to multiple versus just one episode. But I don't know. We're testing it out. This is still fresh. And I'm giving myself grace as I navigate this podcast. So thank you for listening. I really, really appreciate it, especially if you've been listening consecutively to all of these episodes. I really appreciate you. So thank you so much for listening. And also, if you don't know me, I forgot to introduce my pronouns. I use they, them, and he, him pronouns interchangeably together. And yeah, that's a bit about me. But what I wanted to talk about is synchronicities. And if you're not familiar with the term synchronicity, basically what I am referring to is a synchronicity, some people might say, is a coincidence. Say you have a song that is stuck in your head, and the lyric is something specific, and you are singing it in your head, and then you see that lyric somewhere in the same day, and you're like, oh my god, that's the lyric of the song that I was just thinking of. Some people might be like, oh, what a funny coincidence. To me, that's a synchronicity. Synchronicities can be a very spiritual thing. They can help guide us to understanding messages and just connections and confirmations within life, I guess. I mean, it can be directly from your spirit guides or angels, loved ones, ancestors, whatever you believe in. And today we're going to talk about some pretty magical beings. And so the synchronicities, I want to talk about the synchronicities that occurred in the live that I recorded. So I stopped recording for the podcast and for Insight Timer. I stopped recording the live after I had just talked. And then I did this exercise with whoever was there. I think we had around 88 people or so, which is another synchronicity. When I was doing this exercise, after I hit the pause button on the recording, I continued doing the live. I hope this makes sense. I still was actively on this live. And we did an exercise where I pulled some cards and I had people try to attempt channeling work. And a lot of And most of the people that were on this live were already pretty intuitive. I know that they're like avid Insight Timer meditation users and people who are very spiritually connected to their gifts and developing their gifts. Those are the people I recognized or who were commenting. You know, I'm sure there were people who were brand new to it who were listening and will listen to the talk, but people who were at the live, we pulled. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm going to show the card. This is also from the Denise Lynn Oracle deck, the Sacred Forest Oracle. So this is what the guidebook cover looks like if you're on YouTube. And if you want to watch on YouTube for captioning, the episodes are posted on the channel Context: the podcast by Eliyaju Lev. So we first pulled the Owl Spirit of Wisdom, card number 27, and this is just such a beautiful card. And people were commenting things like feeling free, feeling like they were protected by their angels. Like, there was so many different things that people were commenting. And this number on the card is 27. And I just want to talk about like the synchronicities that happened for me within this channeling, within this live, because just I think it's really fun, interesting thing to share. And I know that my Insight Timer peeps want to hear about it. So if you don't want to hear about this, I don't care. You don't have to. But I also think it's really magical to see these synchronicities. I think I already talked about the number 27 here on this podcast, in how this number 27, specifically 727, is a sign and a synchronicity to me from my late Saba, my grandfather, who passed away in 2018. He passed away on 7/27, like July 27th was the day of his passing. It was a full moon, I'm pretty sure. And I've always been very connected to him. Some other signs I see from him are like bats and hawks. So the fact that this card has the number 27 is just like, it was just a little like spiritual connection for me that I'm like, oh, this is beautiful. And it equals 9. And the number 9 has different significance to a lot of different people. 9 is also 333. So that's another angel number synchronicity for some people. But in the guidebook for this card, and I have it in front of me right now. You can hear me flipping probably. It was on page 88, which we had 88 people at the live, like after we had talked about this card. So it was just another synchronicity. You see what I'm saying? Like it's like the repeating sign is coming up again and again. That is a synchronicity. Whether it's a person you keep running into, whether it's a number you keep seeing, an animal you keep seeing, a song you keep hearing or thinking about, a phrase, specific color popping up everywhere. Like different synchronicities can be different things. But this card talks about trusting in your ability to see the deepest truth in situations and in people. Wisdom is growing within you in mysterious ways beyond your awareness. This is a good time to sign up for inspirational courses. Messages from Spirit are all around you. Look for them and trust what you feel. And this also says the owl sits at the shoulder of Athena and Merlin, revealing sacred truths. In some native cultures, the owl is called the night eagle, for it has the majesty of the eagle, but works silently in the darkness of night. This card can also mean it's time to embrace your dark side as well as your light. Through doing so, you will be in balance. So the sight of an owl in the darkness corresponds with your ability to perceive reality of a situation. So even in the murkiest of conditions, when this card chooses you, you are at an advent time of profound illumination and transformation. So this card already has so many synchronicities to what I was talking about on the live with channeling work, trusting yourself, really tuning in, and like just how incredible that like we can see these messages and we can understand things even at our darkest times, even at our lowest points. And So I just kind of wanted to talk about that really quickly. But I honestly have more synchronicities with this next card that we pulled. So I did the first card we pulled. I gave like 3 minutes for people to really understand whatever messages were coming through and then share them. And then we talked about it. And then I read through the guidebook. And then we did the same thing. I just gave 1 minute. And the card that came out was the unicorn, purity, card number 45. And some people were saying like our soul is pure. Some people were saying like they had been seeing unicorns and they didn't know why. Like the unicorn was coming up as a sign for them. And unicorns are a huge synchronicity for me in my life. And that, like, this is what I want to talk about. I want to talk about unicorns today. Do you believe in unicorns? That's me asking you. Like, you listening right now, do you believe in unicorns? Like, are they mystical to you? Whatever you believe, it doesn't matter because I believe in unicorns. Some might listen to this and call me cuckoo banana nuts, but like, I like to live a magical life and I believe in unicorns. And I believe that unicorns are similar to angels in the sense that they bring blessings, they shine their light, they can protect us, they have healing powers just like angels do. And so when I'm on Insight Timer and I have an oracle deck called The Magic of Unicorns, I think it's by Diana Cooper. I have this oracle deck that I use for reading sometimes on Insight Timer. Sometimes when like on one-on-one sessions, I'll use this deck and I use it for myself too. And so unicorns are very special to me. And I have been developing my relationship with my spirit team and my unicorns that I call in and invite into my space over the last few months. The last year or so, but like specifically in the last few months, in the beginning of 2023, the end of 2023, the end of 2022, they have been showing up. And synchronicities and signs that I see from unicorns are white feathers and rainbows. And I've been seeing rainbows everywhere. And this is a story that I have shared on Insight Timer before. I don't know if I've shared it on the podcast before, but long ago, and by long ago, I literally mean like 3 years ago, when I was getting into my spiritual awakening and like was testing my faith with the universe, with spirit, if I was really like believing in this stuff, because the only way that you will live in the magic is if you believe in it. You can't have a magical life if you don't believe in magic. If you don't believe in magic, magic will not happen for you. And that's because you just need to believe in it. It's like in Peter Pan, you know? You just have to believe and then the magic is real. And that's really true. I really believe that that's true. But, so, okay. What was I saying? Rainbows. I had seen like an angel number. I was driving home. And I remember this very vividly. It was raining, but I was in Southern California. So like even the rain, it wasn't like heavy, heavy rain. And it was kind of sunny. And I was like, oh my God, this is perfect. And mind you, at this time, I did not really believe in unicorns in the way that I do now. Like I believed in unicorns as in like a mystical creature that, some people use in storytelling and fairy tales and, I didn't really believe that they existed here on Earth. Like, and I don't necessarily believe that unicorns exist physically, a horse with a horn, physical on this Earth plane, but I do believe that they exist within the spiritual realms. Call me cuckoo banana nuts. I don't really care, but that's what I believe. And so the story that I'm sharing was happening before I really connected to unicorns, before I really saw rainbows as a synchronicity, as a sign. I don't know if I was having a rough day or something, but I just really I was feeling pretty connected to source. And I said, I'm going to ask if you're really listening to me, say I was talking to God, say I was talking to the universe, divine, my guides, whatever you want to believe in this story. I just asked divine. I said, okay, divine, please. And I was maybe like 5 minutes from arriving home. I was driving home from something. I don't remember what. And I said, in my head, I asked in my head, I said, please, before I get home, before I arrive home, and I was at a red light, like I was stopped at a red light, or I was just about to stop at a red light, and I was like, wow, there could totally be a rainbow right now. And this was a pretty long red light. Like this red light, like it's like, once you arrive to the stoplight, if the light is red, you're going to be sitting there for a while. So I was just like, okay, let's play with this. Please show me a rainbow before I arrive home, with harm to none, for the greatest and highest good. If you're really listening to me, please show me this as a confirmation, as a sign that I can communicate with you, that I can ask for signs, that I can ask for miracles and gifts and whatever. Like, I don't remember the specific wording, but this was something along the lines of that. Not 30 seconds, not even 30 seconds go by. And I had looked in the sky. I looked everywhere in the sky to make sure there wasn't already a rainbow. The light turns green. And I drive. And I, out of the corner of my eye, see I kid you not, the brightest rainbow I had ever seen in my entire life. Just boop, like appeared out of nowhere. And it didn't obviously appear out of nowhere, but I wasn't like looking for it. Like I said, okay, like I have like 5 minutes till I'm home, like just show me a rainbow. And it was there. And when I got home, the way that this rainbow was in the sky, it was as if it was like right over my house. Like it was a clear, I could see almost end to end this arch rainbow. It was a double rainbow, like forming a triple rainbow around it. The brightest rainbow and like I had ever seen. And I was like, oh, I'm trying not to curse on this podcast. And it's really hard for me because I curse a lot in my daily life. So I know I've cursed a little bit on some episodes, but so I was like, oh, shoot, like, damn. I was like in pure bliss when I saw this rainbow because I had just asked for that, That is not a coincidence. That to me is a direct synchronicity, a direct sign that I had asked Spirit to show me. And since then, my faith in Spirit, my faith in divine, to ask for signs and to see signs, this was really the first time that I had done something like that and that it had worked. And that is like where I really started developing this trust and continued working on my spiritual gifts. But fast forward now, I see rainbows every day, and not necessarily these huge, beautiful, vibrant rainbows, triple rainbows, double rainbows in the sky. No. I see rainbows sometimes when I'm just like drinking my water in the morning. The reflection of the sun will cast a rainbow on the wall, or I'll see somebody with a little rainbow sticker on their backpack or their pants, their sweats or something. I have rainbows around my room that I have like a holographic heart on my wall, and like sometimes the light will just hit it that it's a rainbow. I see rainbows like sometimes if I'm just like outside the reflection of the sun, I'll see like little rainbow circles in my eyes, and I see these rainbows everywhere. I see rainbows in emojis on my phone, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm not looking for these rainbows, but somehow yet every day for the last few months, I am seeing these rainbows. And to me, it's a confirmation that I am being watched over, that I have endless, unconditional love and support from my spirit team, from the unicorns that surround me and surround this earth, and that I am protected and that I am safe and that I am encouraged to keep going and living my authentic truth. And really what the unicorns come in to teach us is the law of grace, to really have grace and compassion and unconditional love for every being, every situation and environment that you are in this lifetime. And that can be really, really hard. And I also want to point out that on this unicorn card, it's card number 45, which also equals 9. So these two cards that came out of this entire deck, and this is a 52 cards in this deck. So out of 52 cards, the two cards that come out both total to 9, which is just an awesome synchronicity. And I have been starting to see 999, which I'm still... The meaning to me of different angel numbers like 333, 222, 111, whatever, 727, the meaning of these angel numbers shift over time. So for me, 999 might means something different now versus what it has meant to me in the past. And for me, 999, it feels like a completion of a cycle. Like that's what I'm kind of understanding right now when I'm thinking about it. Like when I'm tapping into my intuition right now, if I say 999 and I'm asking, what does this mean? I'm hearing completion of cycle. That's what I'm understanding. It's a new era. Um, and to enter that with faith and trust and knowing that it's all working out even greater than you can imagine. And like that's the language that I've been telling myself. Everything is always working out for me even greater, more magnificent, more magical, spectacular, more brilliant than I can ever imagine. With harm to none, for the greatest and highest good of all. That's all I can wish upon myself. So I wanted to share these synchronicities. And like in the guidebook for this unicorn card, it talks about no matter what happens in your life, step into your innate innocence. You have a pure soul. You are a child of the Creator. Let go of the past and see the world with new eyes, and almost miraculously, wonders will abound. So this card shows up when you're ready to step into the innocence of a child and see the world in eyes of wonder. So when you stop looking at the world through the lens of your past, you find how fresh and wondrous the universe truly is. The past doesn't need to define you, and know that life can begin fresh and anew. So this card can also appear when there is a need for inner purification and renewal. So taking time to release what doesn't serve and support you in life, watching the miracles unfold. And the reason why this is a synchronicity for me is because right now, if you are listening to this in like early 2023, March, April, this probably will be uploaded on my podcast by April. Like I'm recording this now in March. It's March 28th today, but so it's actually June now that I'm editing and uploading this. So please disregard what I'm talking about. I mean, we are now currently, if you're listening to this in June of 2023, out of the Mercury retrograde, post shadow period, whatever, but we were just about to enter when I was recording this. So yeah. What happened on March 23rd, the day that I released this podcast, there were some really big astrological shifts in our collective. The planet Pluto shifted into Aquarius, which it hasn't been in over like 200 years. We are shifting into this divine feminine light, and the strength to really manifest and create whatever it is we desire in this lifetime is here. If you don't believe that, don't worry. You don't need to manifest your dream life. Don't worry. If that's not what you're called to do right now, don't do it. But if you are feeling called to do it, we have this magic to create our dreams. And so I've been doing a lot of journaling recently of what do I want my life to look like in 6 months? What is success to me? What do I want to define success for me in this lifetime as? And I wrote down a long list, and I'm still journaling. I'm still figuring out what is it that my soul truly wants out of this lifetime, because there's a lot I do. Not only do I do this Reiki stuff and podcasting work, I mean, I'm a theater kid, and like I love directing and choreographing and teaching and like making music. Like there's so many different paths I could take. I could just, throw all my devices in a bin and F off and enter the abyss in the wilderness and just like survive without, I don't know, just like off grid. Like there are endless possibilities. I'm not saying I'm going to do that, but like it's an option. If I really wanted to, I could. So all this to say that these cards were very fitting, not only for inspiring people to start doing this channeling work for themselves, to connect with their spirit teams, to connect with their guides, their unicorns, their angels, whatever it may be, with their intuition, with their inner child. There's a lot. I'm being called right now to do a lot of like inner child healing work for other people. Like a lot of the healing work that I do is very intuitive and like is overall. Like I do a lot of past life and past trauma healing, and like I do a lot of healing towards people's like physical pain and anxiety And I also do a lot of healing work, I find, just for people to remove blocks in their spiritual energy field, just to like align them to their spiritual gifts. This is, I feel, I do a lot of this work. But now I'm being called to tap into inner child healing. And I hope to release, I'm not saying I hope, I plan on within the next 6 months, and this is me holding myself accountable and speaking it into existence, that I am working on and I'm releasing a course on Insight Timer to help heal your inner child, to work with your inner child, to help allow you to really tap into your innocence and the pureness of your soul, to allow you to really feel safe in going after your dreams. Because a lot of us don't feel safe to go after our wildest dreams, whether that's because we don't feel we have the support by the people around us, whether we don't believe in it ourselves, whether we don't think it's attainable in this lifetime. You know, these are things that we are able to shift over time. And so I just wanted to talk about the synchronicities with unicorns, but not only that, like there's like so much to it. Like I've been seeing unicorns for so long. Like my mom, she bought me a funny birthday gift of, what is it even? I don't even know what it's called, but it's like a little hat for your bananas. Like, I know this sounds really strange because it is. It's like, I think this was something on Shark Tank where it doesn't have to be a unicorn, but there's like a little like rubber thing that you like put on the head of like the bunch of a banana to help keep the bananas fresher for a long time. I don't know if this stuff actually works or not, but my mom got me this as a gift because she thought it was funny and cute, and it is funny and cute. And it was a unicorn, and it had a little, like, not rainbow, but it was like blue, pink, and yellow, which is heyo, pansexual pride flag. But it was really, really cute and funny. So like stuff like this shows up in my life where people give me things with unicorns on them, and like I have a sticker on my wall that says like mermaid today, unicorn tomorrow, and it was given to me by one of my closest friends' mothers, who I feel is my second mom. And she gave me the sticker after I had already, and now on the time that I'm recording, it's 27:27, which, like, the time of how long I've been recording this audio. I mean, on this podcast episode, it probably won't say 27:27 when I just said that now, just because I'm gonna edit this episode, because there's definitely been some like sounds like motorcycles and ambulances outside that I'm just gonna cut out. But anyway, I just wanted to point out that synchronicity. But yeah, she's like my second mom, and she gave me this sticker and like had no idea the significance of unicorns to me, but they just show up in my life reminding me that I am blessed. And that's all there is to it. So I just wanted to share that synchronicity because not only have I like been seeing unicorns for a long time just on my own, but specifically in the last week, like even on TikTok. And honestly, I think I talk about TikTok a lot on this podcast, and I just want to give a little disclaimer that like if you aren't on TikTok, don't go on it. Like, save yourself, don't do it. It really is not, like, our brains are not meant for this app. Like, it's really an interesting thing. But I'm trying to get off of TikTok, honestly, but like I feel like it's a platform that can help connect to so many people. And like I still have yet to post about my podcast on TikTok, and I say that right now, and probably by the time this episode is uploaded I will have posted about my podcast on TikTok, because I started talking about my breast reduction journey on TikTok originally. Like that's where I was gonna like have my platform, but I never really, like, I can't be bothered to like keep up with posting for the algorithm and stuff. And like I'll probably work on TikTok for the studio that I work for, other social medias, and like I'll do my research and like help create a better account for them. Like once I graduate from my semester, like I'm gonna take on more work because now I'm just working part-time. But yeah, it's really interesting to me because I talk about TikTok all the time, but it's true. Like I see so many signs and synchronicities on TikTok. Like I will get messages of people who have like, it just shows up on my For You page, and it's like unicorns, butterflies, strawberries, and I'm like, yes, how did you know? And it's just really beautiful and interesting just to see other people starting to see the similar synchronicities and signs, because somebody was like, I've been seeing unicorns for so long and I don't know what they meant. And it was so wonderful just to see that person like get another confirmation and connection to look into unicorns and to work with unicorns and to call them into your space. And if you're like, oh, I want to work with unicorns, I want to do that, anybody can do this. Even if you don't identify as a spiritual person, you can call in a unicorn. And if you have any like questions about this, feel free to like ask them, whether it's like in the comments of a YouTube video here, or I think on Spotify you can like ask questions and stuff for each episode. But like, this is something I love to talk about more. So if you have questions or want clarifications or you're curious about specific things, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the synchronicities within this live with the channeling work that we did together as a group. Just how beautiful these two cards came out with wisdom and the owl. And the owl, honestly, owls. I've honestly been seeing owls too recently. So I'm like taking it as a note for myself to keep continuing being on the lookout for owls as a synchronicity, as a sign, to see what they mean for me, because the meanings, they change and they shift around. So it's really interesting. But that's really just what I wanted to talk about for this episode. And I know I have a lot of things that I mentioned or wanted to talk about within the first 5 episodes that I dropped. And honestly, like, I think it's really interesting, like, since releasing this my podcast, when I was doing the captioning work, I realized how much I don't speak in complete sentences and I talk in draft. Like, this is something that this language I learned from the institution I go to in some of my classes, our acting classes. We do like a class agreements, and we have a lot of my classes agree that we speak in draft. And what this means is that we can go back on our words and that we're thinking out loud, like our thoughts are forming as we're speaking aloud. And that's really how I talk. So it's really interesting to me when I was doing the captioning, I was like, I don't really even know how to punctuate this. Like, I'm just going to make sure that the words are spelled the way that like I'm talking, and like that the words are correct. So if you are reading the captions on this podcast on YouTube, I don't know what to tell you when it comes to grammar, because I obviously don't speak in a grammatically correct way. And I'm not trying to, like, that's just how I am. This is just how I speak. I talk in draft and revisit my words, and I don't even know like how to say what I'm trying to say, but I think you understand. And if you don't, oh well. But I do want to mention that I'm going to try to upload this podcast episode soon, so that by the time you're listening to this, if you're listening to this when it is released on April 21st of 2023, we are starting the second Mercury retrograde. The second Mercury retrograde of 2023 is now actually over. The rest of this episode, I was talking about so if you're watching, you can see that I'm currently filming, it's June 4th, 2023, now that I'm finally editing and uploading this episode. So thank you for giving me grace on that. But there's a pre-shadow period that's around 2 to 3 weeks before the Mercury retrograde begins, the actual Mercury retrograde, which lasts around 3 weeks, and then the post-shadow period. So literally, we have just ended the post-shadow period, and things are finally flowing smoothly. So I wanted to conclude this episode with reading a channeled message that I channeled in April of 2023. I have the exact date written down. I think let me get it. You can hear me fumbling for my journal. So this is a message that is meant for you to hear if you want to. If you don't know much about Mercury retrograde, basically, long story short, is communication, technology, travel, stuff like that. There's delays, miscommunication, glitching, rescheduling, anything you can imagine. So here is a channeled message. I hope this resonates with you, and this is what I want to end this episode with. And in episode 8, the next episode, I kind of dive into the synchronicities of like unicorns and crows and ravens and stuff like that, based off of what I was talking about in this episode here, episode 7. So, okay, that's besides the point. Can you tell that I'm off my ADHD medication and that my brain is scattered? Anyway, this is the message channeled at 1:55 p.m. on April 21st, 2023. You are a divine being of the universe. You are allowed to mess up and make mistakes in this lifetime. Not only are you allowed to do so, but it is inevitable because you are experiencing a human lifetime. In the face of a mistake, miscommunication, fight, frustration, mess up, argument, anger, tussling, disagreement, overwhelm, etc., remind yourself all is well. Give yourself and others grace, compassion, patience, and understanding that we are all doing our best to navigate our human lives. Some of us are so hard on ourselves already when we quote unquote mess up or make a mistake that it does not serve us to create a resolution and fix the quote unquote issue immediately. Not all problems are meant to be solved at once. Not all problems are meant to be dealt with at once. Give yourself the space and the time you need to recenter and reground yourself, to think clearly about what it is that occurred and how you can best deal with it for yourself in the here and now. Try your best to communicate your need for time and space to figure things out and let the mud settle if others are involved in whatever is at hand. Trust in your intuition and gut feelings about how you would like to proceed. You are allowed to take time, and I have in parentheses over 1 week, etc., to tune in and listen to what your higher self is drawn to do. It's okay if you try to tune in and don't know what is best or what feels right to do. You are allowed to change your mind and make decisions based on where your past decisions took you. Based on where your past decisions took you. Don't let the past hold you back or limit your faith in the universe about moving forward. Know you are so divinely cared and loved for. Breathe, ground, center, and trust all is well and working out divinely for you, with harm to none for the greatest and highest good of all, as so it is. So I just want to end the episode with that channeled message because it really spoke to me throughout Mercury retrograde. And now, obviously, depending on when you're listening to this, maybe you are in Mercury retrograde and that resonated for you right now. But I felt like it needed to be said just to remind us that when we go through turmoil, when we go and make mistakes, because we're human, we're going to make mistakes. It's really important to remind us that, like, it's okay and it's inevitable and we are just humans, and you have to give yourself grace and compassion and give others grace and compassion. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Context, and I hope you subscribe, follow, like, whatever platform it is you are listening to this on, whether it's YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever. Give me a follow, thumbs up, rating if you can, just to show your support. And I am so grateful that you are listening, and I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Bye.